Now, we have been lied to about so many different things in our life. We have been lied to by every single institution that we know of, religious and government. And we know there are secret societies, mystery schools, and people who have the wealth of knowledge that they do not want to share with the public for, whatever reason. But we also know, and, because we do research and because this is what we are into, that these secret societies, these people who have been in secret societies and in mystery schools and have learned this knowledge, people like myself as well, we teach. And the occult releases a lot of information that is coded with the secrets that they don't want to reveal, straightforward. So if you get into occult knowledge, occult science, a lot of it is esoteric, meaning that, you have to have a certain understanding of knowledge to understand what the subject is about, what they're actually talking about in a lot of esoteric books and videos. So they have been revealing knowledge, for hundreds of years. So many people have been at this. The thing is, a lot of people don't really understand the occult. And we know the occult simply means the hidden. Esoteric, as I just said, simply means, information that's only going to be understood by, select people, very few people with certain knowledge. So esoteric and occult gets a bad rap in the mainstream and by a lot of people due to movies and due to the simple fact that they do not want you to understand this stuff. It's the same thing with, Satanism as well. And it's all geared to hide a wealth of knowledge that they don't want the public to have. So you have to be brave. As I said before, I had to be really brave to go at this stuff and to start researching and reading these books and studying this stuff. So, the journey is definitely a tough one when you keep running into, the boogeyman, running into Satan, demons and stuff like that, every twist and turn. And then it takes a strong mind with understanding to realize that these roadblocks and hurdles are placed in your way for a reason. So now with occult science, you have to really understand, what this stuff is about. And, it's a lot, and it's a lot of people who have been revealing stuff and, releasing books like, H.P. Blavatsky and, Manly P. Hall, Alice A. Bailey, people like that. And the reason why they scare you away from these people is, of course, because of the knowledge. So this is what we're really going to get into and understanding what occult science is really about. And we actually really got into it a little bit in some of the DVDs before, but it's, it's a lot more to it. But, before we start really getting into the, mystery school, deeply with more videos that I have to come, we got to get this understanding. Y'all know how I do it. I like to, begin you with, information so you can, be better prepared for what's to come. So, this is what we're going to talk about. So understand, in the occult world and secret societies, they only want the best and the brightest. If you are smart enough to start to decode this stuff and to understand what they're talking about, it's not going to be hard for you to get into these secret societies if you are in the know. And those who are smart enough, they are welcome into these secret societies. And those who can handle the more deeper information, the more deeper knowledge, are allowed to excel, to grow in degrees and ranks in these secret societies. This is why secret societies, you see them all at colleges a lot. A lot of these fraternities is where the initiation process begins. A lot of people don't realize that it starts at school, at colleges. And they put it there, and they are allowed to be there because they want the best and the brightest. So if you are in a fraternity and you can, excel in school as well, and you can excel in your fraternity, then you are more likely to be able to understand and go along with what a secret society entails. You're able to keep secrets, about rituals and weird things that regular people would consider satanic or weird or stuff like that, you are really familiar with being in a fraternity. And it's definitely something that'll help you along the way once you start getting into these secret societies. And, what a lot of people got to understand is, and what they don't understand is that they are basically, once you get to these higher levels, the people who are higher than you are just going to use you to fulfill their agenda. That's basically what it is. So they want the best and the brightest on their side, helping them fill their agenda, instead of, being somewhere else. It's a waste, that they call it. It's a waste of talent. The force is strong with this person. We want this person. So we want to get him. The force is knowledge. Basically, we're going to get into that too. So they want you to have a wealth of knowledge, to be familiar with rituals. So the best place for all that kind of stuff, and the best place where a person is more likely to get into that kind of stuff is, of course, in colleges and fraternities. And we know, the Greek fraternities that we have all throughout America. I know in Philly, we have the Greek Week or the Greek Picnic, where a bunch of fraternities come together and they just party, and stuff like that. And it's Greek for a reason. And, that just goes back to ancient Kemet, where they basically stole the knowledge, the Greeks. So the Greeks was the first ones to really start beginning these mystery schools outside of Kemet. After Kemet fell, the Greeks took the knowledge and they was initiating people into their mystery schools and basically copying off what the Egyptians did for them. And, people like Pythagoras and everything, a lot of people came into Kemet and already learned some information from the Egyptians. So of course, later on, more people was wanting to get this information that the Greeks had, because they felt like they can get, the deeper information from the Greeks, because the Greeks was more willing to reveal it instead of the Egyptians who wanted you to wait 40 years. So, the Greeks, of course, used the information with the Romans, and they began to build their empires and stuff like that. But of course, people who was in the bloodline or wealthy enough to afford the initiation to come into the mystery schools, or had a position of power that could be used by, the people higher than them, then of course they was allowed in and they was taught, and, they flourished, and, we know the result of what happened. So the mystery schools begin here. And, of course, it's the stolen knowledge of ancient Kemet, and we see it all over the place, but a lot of people don't realize, exactly what it is. Now, in the beginning, they basically used this information. They used their knowledge to gain wealth. Of course, they wasn't going to reveal too much information that would give up their advantage in business. So they kept a lot of stuff to themselves, and it was contained within that inner circle of power. But, for the most part, they was beginning to, build their empires, and that's what they used the information for. Anybody who was wealthy enough, usually bought books. Back then, books was like, just as good as money. Some people would trade a lot of things for books, for knowledge instead of for money, for gold or whatever like that, because the knowledge was everything. And this is where knowledge really started to spread. And, the Egyptians still let people in and taught. But, that wasn't enough. Obviously, for the Greeks, they wanted everything for themselves, and they wanted to be the ones who basically was in the position of the Egyptians, which is why they mimicked everything the Egyptians did. So, a lot of people came in and was getting a lot of this information, and the people who was outside of the inner circle really started to, go through this stuff and understand it. They began to understand consciousness and everything like that. This is where, the whole secret society thing had to really come into place, the penalty of death and everything like that, because too many secrets was getting revealed. And what you had was people really dealing with consciousness, because that's basically the whole thing when you start getting into this information. And of course, when you're thinking about consciousness, the first place that you will go to is, the dream world. I mean, if you could think about back then, how fascinated people must have been about the dream world. We take it for granted. It's something that I have been obsessed with my entire life, and, did a lot of research on the dream world. And it's amazing. You go to sleep and you're in this completely different world that seems real. And it seems like everything that's happening there has a purpose. That it's a lot of people, took dreams as being something that you got from God or something that you were supposed to see, something you're supposed to understand. People who had dreams about issues, things that pertain to their civilizations, they was looked at as psychic and stuff like that. And there was a lot of them back then who came out, who interpreted dreams and who spoke about the dream world, which back in ancient days, they was really fascinated by it. So, this is kind of what was leading up to occult science and people really looking into the dream world and everything that pertains to the dream world. Now, science will tell us that the dream world is basically, your brain projecting images that you already seen and can perceive. It's just electrical signals. So, of course, they would say, well, where the hell is the electricity coming from? Where's that energy coming from? The brain does not naturally produce this power, this energy, and it doesn't make sense for this, outside energy, it would seem, to completely affect the entire body. And it's something that they realized later on that, wait a minute, this energy is separate from us. It's a different, this consciousness is totally different from what the body is. And when you understand this leads to a whole lot more information. So now this energy is projecting the dream world at the same time, keeping our bodies alive, keeping us breathing, and waking us up in the morning. And it's at the same time recharging our body, energizing, healing our body. All of this is being done, while you are asleep. It's an amazing thing that they looked at and said, you know what, this has to be separate from the body because the body is being treated. The body is not treating itself. It's not a physical action that's taking place. It is this energy, this consciousness that is doing all the work. So, of course, they looked at that and said that this has to be separate. So, in the occult world, understand, as I said, the Greeks stole everything. And then we know the Romans, took over the Greeks. So most of the terminology in the occult is in Greek. They use Greek words or Latin words. And this is one of the ways that you can know if somebody is in a secret society or is into the occult by the terms that they use. So you're speaking with somebody, and if you're a Mason and they use certain terms that is only spoken in the lodge, or that Masons use as common words, then that this person is most likely a Mason or is into the occult. So like, we call planets, it's a planet, but they call planets theoi. Theoi means the gods. And from theoi, we get aletheia. Aletheia means the breath of God. Translated into Greek, it means truth and enlightenment. So understand, like in the occult and secret societies, truth and enlightenment is God, plain and simple. Knowledge is God. You can't get no more clear than that. This is what they are talking about every time. Whenever you hear a person speak about God that is a Mason, they are talking about truth and enlightenment. The trick is to fool you into thinking they're talking about Jesus or, Jesus Pop, Jesus Daddy. And they're talking about truth and enlightenment, which is what Jesus represents. So this is why at award shows, this is why rappers and people who are supposed to be in these secret societies or be Masons can wear the Jesus piece. This is why they wear it. This is why they think Jesus or why they think God, because they are thinking truth and knowledge, truth and enlightenment. And they have a deeper understanding of what Jesus is and what he represents. Now, at the same time, they are also thinking they're white masters who put them in place, in power, because if you wear the Ankh, it is a symbol for life, also truth and knowledge. So, I would prefer to wear an Ankh, which I always wear Ankh. People always ask me about it. I have a lot of these in various forms. It's also a symbol for truth and enlightenment. So it means you understand, you get it, you are conscious, but understand that the Jesus piece and everything, the cross and all that is not just a symbol for Christianity. A symbol is a symbol for, whatever your knowledge comprehend that symbol means. So a cross may mean one thing to you, may mean something different to another person. So, this is the kind of stuff that the occult do, and how they hide information in plain sight. And, a lot of people they really don't understand, what this stuff is really about. The problem is we think that, God is this, creator, this all-seeing, being with power, and who did so many things. And, when you really get down to it, as I always say, God is a man-made word and term. It's just that simple. If a person calls you, out of your name or a different name, unless you respond to that name, it's not your name. Somebody keep calling you Tom. Hey, Tom, hey, Tom. And you don't respond, that's not your name. That's not who you are. So unless this God comes and claims his name, his position and power, then we only got to go by, what these people are saying, which nobody has responded to this name. So obviously it must pertain to something else. And it's pertaining to truth and knowledge. It's just that simple. There's no way around that. When you understand in the occult, this is what they're talking about. This is all they care about. Everything is about gnosis, a word you will hear a lot in the occult. It's all about knowledge. Everything is about understanding. And even when you go through the Bible, when you really start reading and paying attention, it's something that comes up a lot, and that you, even in the movies, we're going to go through some of that here too. In the movies, what they're talking about, and a lot of things. It's so much stuff that's hidden right in plain sight that a lot of people don't realize deals with occult science and, the esoteric, knowledge that, only a few people understand. So even if you wanted to know, what God is, where is God? What is the creator? Who created anything? It requires knowledge. If you wanted power, if you wanted to gain wealth in this world, if you wanted to do anything, it still requires you having knowledge. So knowledge is everything. Knowledge is the key. So truth and knowledge is basically real power. And it's basically, what they teach in the doctrine of the occult, that knowledge is the way. Knowledge is the key, because you can think about getting anything. You can think about getting a car or a house and what you have to do to get that. But that what you have to do requires, that's knowledge. That is information. This is something that we all know. So, if you look at the Bible and you look at religious, doctrine, they basically hide knowledge. These books, parabolize knowledge. It's coded within the books. So this is why, as I said, these books are in Masonic lodges all across the world, because they hide knowledge. The knowledge is hidden within these books. So, if you go back to the Saturn Satan series, we talked about how the subconscious mind has all the knowledge locked away, and you must combine it with your conscious self. You must become aware of what your subconscious mind is doing, what it's talking about. You must combine these things and unlock the rest of your brain, unlock the rest of your DNA, this non-enzyme, non-protein coding, and, gain this information. This is what everything is about. This is what all of it leads up to. And, when you look at the, all of the information and a lot of the books that a lot of these people from the occult world put out, it's the same thing. It's coding this information. But when you get down to, the nitty gritty, to the middle, it's all about this knowledge of self, having this knowledge of self and understanding what that is, so that you can unlock your true potential. Because as the Bible say, as Jesus keep talking about in the book, the power of God, the knowledge, the kingdom of heaven, everything, all that is within you. So the kingdom of heaven is within you. The kingdom of God is within you. You have to unlock it and have a knowledge of self in order to do that. So knowledge is the key. Now, when people say knowledge of self, what does that really mean? A lot of people struggle with that concept, knowledge of self. Now, it's not just understanding who we are as human beings, but also understanding that we are more than just human beings. Remember, we talked about we are made up of many different types of DNA, animal genes. We have literally trillions, 30 to 50 trillion bacterial cells that's basically all over our bodies. Women have more bacterial cells than men. So you're talking about right now, you have, trillions of microscopic, living organisms all over you doing a lot of work. So we're talking about bacterial cells that do everything from, heal your body, heal your wounds, rejuvenate you. And they live off the energy that your body produces, the so-called soul, or the energy that we always talk about. So understand that, if you had control of these organisms and you could get them to do what your body needs, like as far as healing when you need to be healed. Now, right now, because the conscious body, what we are right now when we are awake, it is controlling everything during the awakened state, meaning these bacterial cells cannot function at full capacity. They can only do so when you go to sleep, and that's when the subconscious takes over and start really healing your body. But if you had conscious control over these bacterial cells, the trillions of cells of what the Jedi would call midichlorian, basically, you could control and heal everything in your body. So knowing yourself, everything that entails, is really important, and understanding your energy and how to control other energies and organisms that you possess is really a major key. So these bacterial cells live off the energy of our body. When we die, they die as well. This is why, when you die, your body is reduced to a skeleton, to skeletal form, because you no longer have this bacteria working hard, regenerating your body and rejuvenating your organs and everything like that, repairing tissue and everything and muscle. So these organisms die when you die. So it's a major thing when we say understand who you are, and knowing yourself and who you really are and everything like that. It entails a lot more. It's a lot of different things we have to deal with, a lot of different aspects of knowing thyself that we got to touch on before we can really understand the broad picture of what that really means. So now, putting that into perspective and understanding how knowledge of self really works and what that really entails, we then understand the effect of time, on our body. So when you understand about the microorganisms that are healing you using the energy, of your spirit, of your soul, or what have you, and you understand that, it's just a matter of time before, you get old. So you only can get fully repaired and recharged during sleep. So when you are awake, you are susceptible to time. So you are aging. The body is aging. You're getting older. Now, when you go to sleep, these cells, these bacterial cells, only have so much time to repair your body, and then, eventually time wins. So it can't fully repair you 100% while you sleep because you don't sleep long enough. So over time, as time goes on, you age and age and age, and eventually the cells can no longer repair the body. The body is worn out, the organs are worn out, and when you go to sleep, it's just not enough time for these cells to actually repair you back to 100% capacity. So when you think about the implications of that, if you could, in essence, control these cells 24 hours a day, then you could heal the effects of time, as time, in real time, to say, so to speak. So as you are aging, you could just repair. And you basically are immortal. You become immortal because then you never are feeling the effects of time. So to kind of sort of put it into perspective, you got about 16 cups in a gallon, I should say. So if you consume 3 cups every day, right, eventually in a week, you're going to be out of water. So 16 cups in a gallon, if you consume 3 cups a day, and when you go to sleep, 1 cup is replaced. This is what I meant to say. 1 cup is replaced. So while you're awake, you get 3 cups to drink. When you go to sleep, 1 cup is replaced. So you can only repeat this cycle about 7 times, about a week. In a week, you're going to be out of water. So this is basically the effect that time has on us in relation to our cells healing us and getting us in the right state, back to 100% capacity. So now when you think about why they are so obsessed with Wolverine, this is basically what he do. Wolverine from X-Men. His body heals. He has that healing state. When he's cut or anything like that, his body automatically heals. This is what we all should do. This is how it should happen if you have full control of these bacterial cells and the cells that regenerate and heal our organs. So when we say knowledge of self, it's so much more than just you getting smart. read some books, stuff like that. It's a lot more to that. There's so much more to, understanding the spiritual part of it all, and not just having the knowledge, but understanding the spirituality as well. So now getting back to Aletheia or Aletheia, which is a major symbol for the occult. Aletheia basically meaning the breath of God or truth and enlightenment. When you really get down to it, Aletheia is basically the conscious mind of man. So if you Google it, if you look up the name Aletheia, you'll see basically a bunch of women. This is what it looks like. And you'll see a bunch of companies with that same name, Aletheia, Aletheia. It's a lot of people who have that name because they understand what it represents. They understand that it has power in it. There is power in names. You have to understand what people give their energy to. If you understand what energy means, if you give your energy, positive energy to something, and you adopt that symbol or you adopt that name, then you are receiving that positive energy. And a lot of people look at that as spooky stuff, but they don't get it. We have been tricked into, giving ourselves these weird ghetto ass names like, Killer Mike, Tech 90 Shots. All kinds of weird names that has negativity attached to the name. And these people are, giving good positive energy to such a negative, symbol. And, instead of them receiving, what the symbol really represents, they are getting your good energy because you are worshiping these negative names. And then when you go ahead and take that name for yourself, you are not getting the positive energy because nobody is worshiping you. You're getting all the negative energy that is behind a name that has to do with killing or murder, the shooter, stuff like that. And you're absorbing the real negative energy of that name. Meanwhile, the celebrity or, the rap star with that negative name is getting positive energy from you through their negative name. So you have to understand how energy works. And again, it sounds like spooky stuff, but you see the results and why these people are on top with these names, and while other people who got these other names like Pookie and Killer J and all kinds of stuff like that, where they at? They're either in prison or, or dead and gone. So you have to understand that one of the things that the occult always speaks about is having names that deals with power. And they always do. If you look at movies that they put out, if you look at just general names that they have, stuff they have in their homes, these people, they understand energy and what it attracts. So by you just having a Buddha in your house, you are putting a lot of positive energy in your home. You just having an Ankh in your house, it's a lot of positive energy attached to that. You have to learn how to then, tap into this stuff and understand what it's talking about. And I'm going to put out a video, I think right after this, that's going to really get into meditation and understanding energy a lot more, how to work with it. So that's probably going to be coming out after this because I get so many requests for this kind of video. But I'm going to take you through what I do and my practices and stuff you need to really understand about energy and how to start working it on this small level and start bringing it up, because your goal is to eventually, as I said, affect your dream world, your dream state in which you are dreaming about, to differentiate between movies, what is reality and what you saw on TV. This is hard. It takes a long time, but you got to start somewhere. We're going to get into that, but you got to understand, the power in names, the power that's in symbols and why they use it. And because they are using it, they are on top and basically controlling everything. So now I know a lot of people are going to say, well, I ain't giving my child one of these weirdo white people names or one of these crazy names. And, again, you got to understand the power in names. Like even the Pope, when a Pope is crowned, the new Pope, he changes his entire name. It's the same thing in the military. When you gain a higher rank, your name changes. You become, go from a lieutenant junior grade to a lieutenant, to a lieutenant commander, to a commander, captain, and so on and so forth. Now, these new names, these new ranks instill power, of course. We know that an admiral is a higher rank than, a captain. So if you see an admiral, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, 1-star, he outranks you. So the power that he gets, the respect that he gets goes with that name and with that title. Now, it's weird in the military and the Navy that we know an admiral outranks a captain. But if that admiral is on a ship where a captain is the CO, the commanding officer, then as long as that admiral is on the ship, he is outranked by the captain, by the commanding officer of the ship. That only makes sense anyway. But, Aletheia, the reason why it's a woman, the reason why, it represents truth and enlightenment is because the woman is, of course, the true human, the true first being on this planet. And that's another thing that you get into with the occult, and the reason why, a lot of secret organizations secret societies really worship the woman. Even in Catholicism, it's more Mary worship than Jesus worship, as you can see, because the woman is the true one, the true divine being. And, it should be a black woman there because, of course, we all come from her. So the woman is worshiped. The woman is looked at as being the truth. Men, we come from women. The races come from women. So we have no clue on the true power and potential that a woman has. I suspect that they do, which is why they try to suppress her power, because if she can have the power to mutate and create a man and then mutate and create the white race and so on and so forth, who knows what, she's really capable of. But this is why they choose the woman. The Statue of Liberty, a woman. You look at the Columbia symbol with the woman holding up the torch. Same thing like the Statue of Liberty holding up the torch, which basically means, truth and enlightenment, knowledge. So you start connecting these things and start understanding why certain things are in certain places. So when you start getting into this stuff, you find out a lot of things. And when you eventually have the balls to start digging into Satanism and the occult and esoteric studies, you find out a lot about Aletheia. So now I want to read a little bit of this stuff here so you understand what they're talking about in the occult, what this dogma is really about. Now it says here, Aletheia is our God and dogma. It says here, Aletheia is the breath of God or life, the conscious mind of man. And what does Soma find its support? Now understand, Soma is an ancient plant, one of the most sacred plants of the ancient world. It was supposed to give you like rejuvenation and longevity, and it was only known to people who was initiated in the highest orders. It says, what does initiation find its support? Truth, therefore, they say, to the one who is initiated, speak the truth. For it is in the truth that initiation finds its support. And what does truth find its support? The heart, said Yajnavalkya, who was basically this ancient philosopher who lived in I think the 6th and 7th century BCE. He was basically like a yogi. He was into Hinduism and everything like that. One of the people who I've studied for a long time. And when we'll get to that point, because we have to get into Hinduism and everything like that and these other ancient religions, because there's a lot with it. And what you'll find out is a lot of the mystics, a lot of the people in the mystery schools like Blavatsky, who traveled to Tibet and was really into Hinduism and everything like that, you will see that they was really into this stuff, and that a lot of the information that we get in the occult world comes from a lot of these ancient mystics and yogis and stuff like that, because they was really into mysticism, into consciousness. And a lot of them are what we can call the Jedi. If you really want to get deep into it, they are the good side of the force. And, we're going to get into all that. The heart, says Yajnavalkya, for through the heart, one knows the truth. Therefore, it is in the heart that the truth finds its support. Just so, Yajnavalkya, this cause of truth, for the acceptance of which by science and the Christian world, I am ready to lay down my life without a moment's hesitation. Those who know me will know I speak sincerely and say but what I feel, because I study occultism or ancient spiritualism. I am thought an enemy to the cause of truth, pure and simple. Only the theogony of the ancient wisdom religion may afford a glimpse of the truth. And theogony basically means the ascension of the gods, the genealogy, I should say, of the gods. Now, man cannot possess truth, aletheia, except he participates in the gnosis. So we may say now, no man can know the truth unless he studies the secrets of the pleroma of the occult, of occultism. So, pleroma is basically a spiritual realm, or the spiritual universe, for those of you who want to understand that. So no man can know the truth unless he studies the secret of the pleroma of occultism. And these secrets are all in the theogony of the ancient wisdom religion, which is the aletheia of occult science. Okay, that's the important part. And then nature will give up her secrets to those who seek truth for its own sake. Nature gives up her innermost secrets and imparts true wisdom only to him who seeks truth for its own sake and who craves for knowledge in order to confer benefits on others, not on his own unimportant personality. So this is just some of the writings of occultism, and a lot of people, this stuff you can find in a lot of Helena Petrovna Blavatsky's books. A lot of, if you really get into Manly P. Hall, I know he was like a major 33rd degree Mason, but before he died, when he was old and didn't give a fuck, he revealed a lot of information, and it's really esoteric stuff, and a lot of people don't understand unless you really start getting into the gnosis, as it's saying, into occultism and understanding what this stuff is really about. You can see in a lot of people's works, even if you just go online and just Google occult knowledge or occult science books and stuff like that, you will see a lot of people who write this stuff. These are good people. A lot of these people are scientists, researchers who just trying to understand what's going on, who is separate from the inner circle of power and people who is controlling things. So me, like myself, I'm one of those people who get into this stuff and has been into this information for over 15 years. So we put this information out so people can understand. We are basically the good side of the information. The bad side will be people who using it for evil, just like, the article was explaining. You have people who is using the information not for their own unimportant, selfish needs, but to get the information out to get people to understand. We need as many heads on this thing as we can get. And we need people to put out information so we can figure this stuff out. You may be 10 times smarter than me. You may be able to comprehend on a different level that I can't. So, it's good for you to have this knowledge. You might not have this knowledge though, but it's good for you to have it so you can comprehend and maybe give the world, maybe the missing pieces that it's missing. We don't know. We have to share this stuff and put it out. And this is what occultism is really about, and the occult sciences really get into. And it's a major piece in our journey and what we've been going through, the last couple of years, the information I've been putting out and you guys have been absorbing. This is a major part. And we can only get here if, you guys really watch the Saturn Satan series and start understanding this stuff. It's not the boogeyman. It's not spooky, and not so many people will even attempt to purchase the DVD or watch the video because it has to do with occultism. And a lot of people are scared of Blavatsky when they see her face. Same thing with Crowley. I had a lot of people say, hey, what the hell you doing putting Aleister Crowley, on the cover of this DVD? They got all this demonic stuff because, they don't get it. They don't understand. So, again, occultism, occult science is basically getting into what you really want to know, what you really want to understand about life. And, it's a lot more to it that, we're going to really get into. So it says that nature gives up its innermost secrets to those who basically are seeking the truth. And we discussed in the Voodoo DVD about how, this thing is all about energy. This whole thing about voodoo and all that is about energy. It's about the universe and understanding nature and everything like that. So, we are supposed to really look deeper into these meanings of nature, what nature is really talking about. So when we discuss the official excuse of how our planet and solar system came into existence, and when you examine it, when we use critical thinking, it implies, everything that we talked about implies that the earth came into existence as a result of a coincidence, that it's all a coincidence. It was a supernova that exploded, and it just so happened that these pieces collided with other particles in space, and we just so happened to get the planet Earth that is, perfect. And this is the issue. This is where the problems lie. That when we go ahead and examine this whole story, when we examine the Earth itself in nature, we see that there are too many perfections. So we have to really look into that much deeper. Now, if you understood, a lot of the words that are used in what I just read really go back to Greek words. As I said, theogony, which basically means the genealogy of the gods, is talking about the Greek gods. Remember, the Greek mythology is one of the main things you must study to really understand occultism, because they basically took, because we miss it so much from Egyptian mythology as far as the gods. There's a lot that we know, but when you're trying to figure it out and you're missing pieces, if you understand the Greek mythology and the Greek gods and everything, you can kind of fit the pieces in, because they basically copy exactly from Kemet and just changed the names of the gods and a little bit of the attributes and gave them more attributes, but it's still basically stolen knowledge from Kemet. But again, when people see this stuff, they look at it and they still think it's Satanism and they think it's evil and stuff like that. So they don't get the real knowledge. They don't really understand, what's taking place. I say to people, if you have the genius, the smarts, to get yourself out of Christianity, to look at it and say, well, I know this is bogus. This Christianity shit is bullshit. And then if you understand that Jesus is bullshit, then you understand that Satan is bullshit. So what the fuck is these people talking about in the cult world? What was Aleister Crowley talking about? And that's what really got me into everything. Because once I start studying Crowley, I'm like, well, wait a minute. First of all, we just go back to 80s rock. Go back to the 70s when so many people was just into Aleister Crowley and into his work. Ozzy Osbourne got a song called Mr. Crowley. Mr. Crowley. It's a crazy song to Aleister Crowley. So I'm like, yo, who is this dude? This dude, I know Satan is bullshit. You had, who was that bought his house? Somebody bought his house and wrote Stairway to Heaven. I believe that was Aleister Crowley's house. They wrote Stairway to Heaven into N when you play the record backwards. And, it has the whole song, My Fair Satan. All this is occultism. Y'all understand how much power that is and what that really is about. It's creepy to you when you listen to it, when you understand, because you don't understand the power behind it. What Crowley did was show you that it exists, which is why a lot of people, really look up to Crowley, and it was just theorized for a long time that this stuff was possible. We knew the Egyptians was doing it. We knew the people in a circle had this power and could do certain things. But when Crowley was doing it, when Crowley basically revealed, how it's possible to do this stuff, and people start really getting into magic and getting into everything and understanding this stuff. As I said, you can use it for good or you can use it for evil. And you don't have to follow everything that Crowley did and that other people who follow Crowley did on their path to gain this power, because there are dark ways that we would consider in our society dark ways, a dark path to it. And just because a person took it don't mean you have to discount every single thing that they teach, because again, you can use this for good things. And of course, the good way is definitely the better way to go. And you can't really get too far in the dark side and remain who you are. You will destroy yourself. It's not worth it. But the knowledge is there. It's there for people to understand, and that's what I'm going to be doing in these videos, is guiding you in the correct way and getting you to understand the wrong way. A lot of people are going to go into this information on their own. I always get the comment from some haters who say, oh, well, you ain't teaching nothing that we can't find on YouTube. Well, I'm not buying your DVDs. You're crazy. And whatever. It's not too many people teaching this stuff that one knows it, not being arrogant or anything like that, but two has the balls to put it out, because they know they really don't want a lot of this information out there. And unless, they would rather you charge for it anyway. If I put it out for free, it would probably be a problem. I probably wouldn't be sitting here. But this kind of how it works when you understand what's going on. It's weird stuff. But yeah, believe it or not, I'm not a millionaire off of these DVDs, but I've sold probably over 20,000 so far worldwide. Just do the math on that. So it's been really well picked up in Europe and Africa, where I get the most sales from. A lot of people in the United States now, thanks to you guys, has been buying the DVDs and the downloads way more than ever before. So, the information, I think a lot of people who into this stuff can see how good it is, what it really entails. As I say, I'm not the most entertaining person in the world, and I ramble on sometimes, but when you really look into what I'm speaking about, the information, I guarantee you in your research, you're going to come across a need for it. And this is what I'm here to do, because as I said, I didn't have nobody to do this for me. If it wasn't for Dr. Ben and his books, it would be no me. I wouldn't be here able to begin to speak about this stuff, because that's where it started. It wasn't no YouTube, wasn't no Facebook. But understanding that the occult simply means the hidden, and esoteric knowledge is basically knowledge that's only going to be understood by people like you and me, who is into this kind of information and who can look past the spooky shit, the spooky bullshit that they put in your way to keep you from gaining God, which is knowledge. So when you have that understanding that, the Bible is bullshit, so Satan must be bullshit as well, then the next place to go, of course, is into the, esoteric world, into occultism and everything like that. And you have to really look at these people like, Crawley and, Blavatsky and Bailey and Manly P. Hall and others, and see what the hell they talking about then. What is this stuff really about if this Satan is bullshit? So this is what led me into this information and down this road, because I could see that it had to be more to it. And then when you look at the rappers who throwing up the symbols and, acting like they really into Satanism and everything like that. I mean, when you see the whole so-called Illuminati and it's supposed to be devil worship, and you have the conscious understanding that, wait a minute, this Satan is bullshit, the Bible bullshit, what is they talking about? Again, occultism, esoteric knowledge, and this is what it's all about, the knowledge that they have, that they are using over you, which can be considered the dark side of the force. And, others in the occult world are largely on the light side, who trying to really help the planet and help people. And it's one of the reasons why occultism really blew up and is still big to this day, is because we look at a lot of stuff and we can see that, it's off. There are issues with a lot of the things that we have been told about, reality, about nature. So when you really start to study nature, you can see, we've been lied to about a lot of stuff, and a lot of the things that we have been told, don't make sense. Okay, so the earth conveniently formed after this Big Bang. Okay, so that's one thing to look at. We get this planet, but it didn't just conveniently form after this Big Bang. It also just so happened to have a core made of nickel and iron big enough to generate a magnetic field to protect the entire planet from the sun, from the solar winds. Now, understand that magnetic field wouldn't even matter at all to us humans, to any life on the planet, if the planet was closer to the sun. We'd be burnt to a crisp. So the planet is in precise position. It's perfectly placed. Not too close to the sun, not too far away from the sun, to where we can survive on this planet. If the earth was 5% closer to the sun, we basically boil to death. The oceans are boil, we be burnt to a crisp. If it's 5% further from the sun, we freeze to death. So what you're going to find out is, when you start really studying this stuff, is that, the planet is perfectly, created. Everything about it, all the attributes about this planet is perfectly in unison to support human life. Now, you would say, well, wait a minute, it's not just humans on this planet, it's insects and animals as well. What you're also going to find out is every single insect, every single animal on this planet is here to support human life. And if I went through them all, there's no way I could possibly do that. But what you're going to understand when you start digging is that it's so many animals, there's so many things on this planet that sustains human life. Now, we know that the animals was here before us, but as I was talking about in Saturn, Satan, and Metsu Neter DVD, is how we can see that the planet was basically prepared for us. And these animals was here basically preparing the planet, and they are here to support human life. There's no way around that. So when you really want to get into the occult, you're going to ask yourself, what is it about? Is it about the boogeyman and Satan and all this and that? What does it entail? Well, energy, nature, just like I talked about in the Voodoo DVD. That's what it's all about. That's what everything basically boils down to. The knowledge of energy, the knowledge of nature, and how to apply it to your reality. And that's the biggest key, is application. How do you apply this stuff to work in your reality, in your world? What do you do? And the occult, the powers that be, I should say, has mastered this, and they are basically using the knowledge to control us through, television, which is their biggest weapon, social media. That's how they're using it. To you, it look like technology, but this all goes back to occult science and the use of misdirection, the use of, energy, getting you to feel a certain way about something, and then playing off that emotion to get you to do things that they want you to do. It's just that simple. So, I can really get into this deep, and I have in previous videos, but again, Black people are sensitive about slavery. So you start playing that race card, you're going to get some Black people angry. And this is what we're seeing today. This all goes back to everything. This is all occult science. This is all voodoo. This is all witchcraft. Everything that they are doing entails this stuff. So if you don't know about it, if you don't understand what's going on, you're going to be lost, like most people are, today. So in occult science, they really paid attention to a lot of these things, because it seems like, everything's supposed to be working together. There's this, universal energy that we all share. And it seems like the animals can tap into it. The plants tapping into it, but we can't tap into it anymore as humans. It's a lot of things we have to understand in order to do that. Knowledge must be gained in order to do so. So when you start looking at these things that has to do with the earth, and understanding how it's designed perfectly to support human life, then you look at the Earth's atmosphere. The Earth's atmosphere is thin. We have a very thin atmosphere. Because of that, we are able to maintain a surface temperature that is suitable for human life. So the average Earth surface temperature is about 40 degrees Celsius. But you look at a planet like Venus, that is, smaller than Earth, but it has 80 times the atmosphere of Earth, 80 times more atmosphere than we do on this planet that is larger than Venus. Because of that, the average surface temperature for Venus is 462 degrees Celsius. So we can't survive there. And when you start to look at the other planets, no human life can survive on these other planets. Why is Earth so special? What is it about this planet that, can support human life, that, it made it somehow through whatever the other planets had to go through and became what it is. So we can't look at that as a coincidence. It's too many things that's perfect. The oxygen we breathe, 21% of the air we breathe contains, oxygen. The rest of the air is basically nitrogen and carbon dioxide and a little bit of argon. So if we had just 1% more oxygen in our air, it would begin to become toxic and our bodies wouldn't function correctly. So this is another thing, it's precise. It's too many things that is perfect with the planet that is suitable to support human life. And it can't be looked at as a coincidence. Now, we also have to look at things like the position of the moon, how it's perfectly placed to give us the, lunar eclipse, and we get the solar eclipse as well. These are things that just can't be coincidence. Also, the placement of Jupiter. A lot of people don't realize that we know Jupiter is the biggest planet. It's humongous, but it is perfectly placed to block a lot of the meteors and asteroids that come through this way. They collide with Jupiter. And if Jupiter wasn't where it was at, the Earth probably would have been destroyed a long time ago. Also, Jupiter has a very strong gravitational pull as well that basically will pull in any of the meteors, Saturn as well, that will pull in any of the meteors that will be headed towards the planet. But, of course, if anything got close to the planet, I mean, you got to remember, we got this magnetic field that's basically protecting the planet from the suns, from the solar winds. So any meteor that comes that way is getting roasted. It's going to get basically burnt down to nothing. And if it doesn't make it through the blowback and through the solar winds, it's going to be the size of a pebble. We know meteors and asteroids hit the planet all the time, but a lot of them that hit is, not big enough to do any kind of major damage. But they want to make movies like Armageddon and keep, scaring people about the meteors and asteroids. Got people walking around believing that the Earth can end at any moment, due to a huge meteor. So, this is what they do to get fear out of us. You'll be surprised at how many people send me questions about that. What do you think about meteors? Is it possible that the Earth can be destroyed by asteroid and whatnot? So, knowledge is power. So if you understand these things about the planet, which is why I try to teach about what's going on out there as far as, what we are told, because we only know what we are told about what's going on out there. We can only go by what many scientists has agreed upon as what's going on in space. We really don't know. There's no way for us to really know about these certain things only from books. We can't go out there. We can't see it. So if you do understand that, I mean, it makes sense to me. We know that meteors and asteroids hit the planet all the time, but they are always small or do very little damage. But if you have that knowledge, you can control people's fear. And again, this is what it's all about. Knowledge is power. The occult, mystery schools, secret societies are all about that. The elite, the powers that be, as I said, this is their God. You look on the back of the dollar, it says, "In God we trust." Now you understand what God they're talking about. They're talking about knowledge, plain and simple. Knowledge and the application of it. That's another thing that's really prominent in the occult and Freemasonry, that you'll hear the application of it, because you can have a bunch of knowledge and don't know how to apply it. And that's in a lot of cases where people have a lot of knowledge, but they don't know what the hell to do with it. So, when you look at occult movies like Star Wars, which is basically really trying to tell you what's going on. Whenever you hear a movie, they say it's a cult classic, cult, C-U-L-T. It's really talking about the hidden meaning of things. It's a cult classic. And that can really deal with just movies being entertaining, but having a deeper meaning to it. And that's basically what it is. Like Friday is a cult classic, but it's a deeper meaning in the Friday. It was a funny ass movie, but he trying to tell you, what's going on and, what you should not do. Friday, believe it or not, had a positive message to it, getting high and all that and not being grown, and you on the block and you dealing with a bunch of bullshit. This is the kind of trouble you can get into when you deal with this kind of stuff. It's a learning experience for people who took it as that, but as well, a funny movie. But the biggest cult classic, of course, would be Star Wars. And Star Wars is telling you all about witchcraft and the occult world. Remember, Star Wars is about the knowledge of the Force, plain and simple, and how to basically use that Force to manipulate that energy to do what you want. The Force is basically energy. So this is what that movie is really getting into. It's the biggest occult movie out there, period, plain and simple. Now, the Jedi are basically, conscious beings who have control of their subconscious and their conscious. So remember, I was talking about in the video on human energy in the Saturn Satan series as well, that what happens once you gain full control, not only of your entire brain, but when you have full control of your consciousness. And the Jedi do. This is what it's speaking about. So since the Jedi has full control, what did I say? When you die and you have full control, then, you become more powerful. You become, different. You don't have to come back here and redo it all over again in a human body. You go on to a higher level of power. And this is basically what it's talking about in Star Wars as well. When you pay attention to when the Sith spoke or when the Jedi spoke, they always talked about their knowledge of the Force. And, you know, if you had more knowledge of the Force, you were stronger, you was more powerful. But it was always about having a knowledge of the Force. See, they always spoke about a knowledge of the Force. But see, now that you pick up on all that, he talked about the nature of the dark side, not the dogmatic view, giving a knock on religion, the dogmatic view of the Jedi, which they consider to be, just the religious people who got a little bit of power. It's just a knock on you just being stuck in the Bible. It's more to it. So it's saying you have to have a more, wider view of what's going on, not just this narrow dogmatic view that the Jedi have. You have to have a wider, more broad view of the Force to understand the nature of the dark side. It's more to it. So this is why I get into so many different things, not just the religious side, but we get into science and we get into, astrology and everything like that. Talk about so many different things to get you to understand that it's a lot more to it than just the Bible. As I said before, it's kindergarten stuff. When I did the whole video on the Bible, kindergarten stuff, is so much more knowledge past the Bible that a lot of people will never understand and know. They will never truly know themselves, even though the Bible is telling you, know thyself, understand the power of God, the knowledge of God, the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven is within you. So you got to understand that it's a lot more to it than just, mere religion. So as he was saying, if you want to become complete and wise, you must embrace a larger view, which is why, again, I get into Blavatsky and Aleister Crowley and everybody like that, stuff that people won't touch. People are too scared to understand and just rather, my life will be fine if I don't know about these people. I just want to go on and live a normal, quiet, cool life. And that's okay, for some people if that's what they want to do. But you'll just come back here. You won't get what you need to get. Your purpose will not be fulfilled. Your purpose is not to work a 9 to 5 until you die. It's just that simple. Your purpose is not to hit the lottery and just party until you're dead. Your purpose is to get this knowledge, this information, and to break this cycle, and it's a lot to it that you have to understand. And it begins with understanding knowledge. Now, of course, there is tons of videos on YouTube, as I said before, tons of videos on YouTube that gets into this stuff, that talks about this stuff, but it's not put into the proper context. And that's the issue with everything that's on YouTube. A lot of this stuff is just out there. It's not put in its proper place. It's not put into context as far as a broader understanding, a whole understanding that's going towards one goal, one unique thing, which is knowledge and consciousness, which is understanding, the power that you have, inside yourself. So yes, there's many videos on YouTube, and because it's not put into context, you got people, perfect example, walking around thinking the firmament is this dome over this flat earth. And, it's water over top of that, not understanding that, since you've been scared away from Kemet, the Bible scared you from Kemet, and your beliefs scared you away from Kemet, thinking it has to do with devil worship and stuff like that. They don't realize what the firmament is actually talking about the waters of noon. And, I get into this in a video I got coming out on YouTube that's dealing with what the Bible stole from Kemet, what they stole from Kemet. It's going to actually be a series. Part 1 is going to come out because there's so many things that they stole from Kemet that I want people to realize that about. You guys already know about it, that I put it in the Saturn Satan series and everything, but I'm definitely in the Mental Nature series as well, but I'm putting it on YouTube so people can understand everything that they took from Kemet and took from astrology and place it into the Bible. That way people can get more of an understanding of what this stuff really is talking about and begin to put it into context instead of just randomly, channel surfing through YouTube and pulling up videos and not understanding that you can have your head full of a bunch of knowledge. Some of it may be meaningless and you may think you know a whole lot, but it's not put into context. And really all of this stuff, all of this occult knowledge, all of this esoteric stuff, it's under one genre. You can call it occultism, you can call it esoteric knowledge, but it's really the knowledge of consciousness and what you need to become conscious. And, we getting it. We understanding what this stuff is. We headed in the right direction. That was my goal, to point people in this right direction. For a long time, when I had this information, I always said to myself, I still say this to this day, I wouldn't want to be nobody else on this planet but me. Period, point blank. Everything I've been through, my life, ups and downs and everything like that, I still don't want to be nobody but me. And for the simple fact of what I know and what I understand, and what I feel like, very few people do understand. And so for that, I'm thankful for, having the brain, the gall to go in the direction that I went into, to understand this information and get this knowledge, and, spend a lot of money on books and spend a lot of time reading, researching. It's all worth it. When you get to a point where you understand that it's the truth, the undeniable truth. And you look around and you see so many people blinded and controlled by, their own ego. And, this whole I don't give a fuck shit that people have, that they just hold on to, that thinking that, life is just about having fun, being successful, when there's a lot more to it. When you can get all of this stuff, be headed in the right direction, still have fun, still have success. I'm living proof of that. And I always tell people who follow me closely, that I know that we talk on the phone and stuff like that, don't get caught up in the knowledge. A lot of people let this stuff ruin their day, their week, and they get saddened by a lot of the stuff, and they feel like, it's hopeless, it's pointless. When you get to that point, you need to take a vacation, man. Play some video games, watch, Finding Nemo or something funny, some Disney damn movie that's funny, and have some joy in your life, and don't let this stuff bring you down so much. It's not supposed to do that. It's supposed to uplift you in your knowledge and get you into understanding that you are headed in the right path. If you are constantly seeing the numbers 911, you are headed in the right direction. Take that as your sign. If you are constantly seeing the 333s, when you're seeing these numbers, understand, whole deep thing I can't get into right now, you're heading in the right direction. It's something trying to tell you that. It could be you. But, that's something we'll get into later. That's another thing a lot of people always ask me about, them seeing numbers and repetition a lot. And a lot of times it's your subconscious trying to remind you about something, and it does it in a way that you can recognize. And there's a meaning to numbers. And, I'm going to really get into the numbers a lot more in the mystery school series, the series we in right here, because there's a lot to it. Numbers is everything, as I talked about in the first video, about how math is everywhere. And there's symbolism in numbers, and numbers mean a lot. And you got to really look up the esoteric meaning of a lot of numbers if you see in it a lot. Like 9/11, even though it has a negative meaning to the two numbers separate, the number as a whole, we know 911, they use it. It's a reason why, of all the numbers they could have chose, why they choose 911, for you to call the cops. There is esoteric meanings to a lot of the numbers that's out there. It's definitely a reason why they do it. And it's something that you got to understand. It's a video I'm going to get into that's going to go more deeper into the numerology of a lot of things that's going to be coming down the line to get you to understand a lot more. But understand, as I said, TV, movies, meant to scare you. So when you see certain numbers, you relate it to demons and the Bible, and it spooks you away from the real trail it's supposed to lead you to. The wise will understand it. The people who have knowledge will understand it. The people who have esoteric knowledge will really get it immediately. And, and that'll be that. But a lot of people who are new to this stuff automatically is spooked by it. So now the Bible also tells you, knowledge is everything, to seek knowledge. So now if you look at Proverbs 15:14, it says, the heart of him who has understanding seeks knowledge, but the mouths of fools feed on folly. Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because you have rejected knowledge. 1 Samuel 1 Samuel 2:3 says, talk no more so very proudly. Let not arrogance come from your mouth, for the Lord is a God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. And again, in the occult, knowledge is God. And, we can go through so many Bible verses. It's really getting into understanding that knowledge is everything. It's something that a lot of people, don't realize because they don't read the book. My favorite Bible verses would have to be, Proverbs 18:15-18. It says, an intelligent heart acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before the great. The one who states his case first seems right until the other comes and examines him. The lot puts an end to quarrels and decides between powerful contenders. And that's my whole thing right there. A lot of people, they plead their case, and a lot of people think that they are correct. They think they are right based upon what they heard, not what they know. And, a lot of us has been in a conversation with somebody. I know a lot of you have been in a conversation with people who, swore they was right. They thought they was right, and they was real, excited about the conversation, about the topic. They were so really arrogant about it. They really thought that they had you beat or stumped, and then you just crush them real easy, with knowledge, because you know what you're talking about. And, that's the difference right there. When you know, you have success. When you think, you just get by. It's just that simple. You're just getting by when you think, because in order for you to know something, you have to first think. You have to use your brain. Thinking leads to understanding, leads to knowing. And then knowing is, it's over with. I know. I don't think. I know. And a lot of people walking around getting emotional over what they think. They think something is correct. They believe that something is correct. They have faith in something that's correct. Thinking, believing, and faith is not knowing. It's not the truth. It's not facts. And this is what a lot of religious people get caught up in. So they don't understand that it's a whole different side to information. And people who really get into this stuff, who spend time and have patience, spend time and money, and really understanding what they want to know and understand, then they have the knowledge. They are in the know, and then everybody else just think. And this is the case with YouTube a lot. You might see me down there cussing somebody out in the comment section, or getting on somebody who leaves a stupid comment. And a lot of people come to YouTube thinking that they have the truth based upon a video that they've seen or something like that, but they haven't did the actual research, or even got information from a person that was credible. I'm talking about with sources, and, it all fits and it makes sense, and it's not based upon, spookiness. So they come to the comment section a lot of times with a lot of spooky shit, with a lot of faith and what they think is correct and what they believe. And I shut them down with facts, and I know a lot of you do as well. So this side of the information, what Blavatsky talked about, and Manly P. Hall and Aleister Crowley, they really get into the dark side of this information. But you got to look at people like Blavatsky, who was really trying to understand what mysticism was all about. What is this spirituality that everybody's talking about, and is it real? She had a lot of stories. She was known to be as a really good storyteller. But most of the information that we get from her, really pushed the occult world to where it's at today. So people like H.P. Blavatsky and Aleister Crowley, Manly P. Hall, these people, as I said, are considered to be some of the people who really deal in the deeper parts of esoteric knowledge. As I said, H.P. Blavatsky, she traveled to Tibet. She traveled all over the world, understanding Hinduism, spiritualism. She was a spiritualist. She was probably one of the first people to get the hidden meaning of the religious doctrine. So remember, when I talk about the hidden meaning of the Bible and of the Quran and Hinduism, Judaism and everything. She was one of the first people to understand that it was a hidden meaning in each of these religions that had to do with spirituality. And she took all of that and she traveled learning and studying and teaching about, spirituality and esoteric knowledge and everything like that. So a lot of people followed her. Crawley followed her. And a lot of people called her crazy, said she was just a good storyteller because she had a lot of stories. But this woman knew her shit, and it's proven in her books and in her works, and a lot of people follow her works. Crawley we got into in the Voodoo DVD, but again, Crawley is one of the people who really kind of put this stuff to actual use as far as understanding the power in it and explaining how to get the power out of it. He dealt more on the dark side of it, but also he did, not everything was dark. He did some things that were really, that could help some people out. It's not much, but at the same time, I tell people pick and choose. You don't have to follow the path he took. You can understand the information and take out of it what you take out of it. But, it's all in how you use the information, how you use the knowledge. Some people use it for good and evil. Some people use it to, better themselves, to get wealth or what have you. It's all in how you use it. So you have like Manly P. Hall, who is, who was a 33rd degree Mason, very high ranking Freemason. Everybody knows all about him. He was one of the best at explaining and teaching esoteric knowledge. He always talked to the Masons. Those were, his people. A lot of his books is on Freemasonry. He is the person, he is probably the reason why people believe that the Masons worship Satan or Lucifer. And he's quoted in one of his books on Masonry as saying, when a Mason learns that the key is the proper application of the dynamo of living power, he has learned the mystery of his craft. The seething energies of Lucifer are in his hands. So what is Manly P. Hall talking about? He's talking about human energy and how to apply it. When he says the dynamo of living energy, he's talking about, a dynamo is a generator that basically provides a direct current of energy. That's what a dynamo is. He's talking about, the energy within us and how to apply it. That's what this stuff is all about. So who is Lucifer? Lucifer is the light bearer. The light bearer has to do with, illumination, knowledge. That's what it's all about. We got into that before about all the light bearer is a person who is bearing the knowledge. He's illuminated. It's knowledge. It's all it means. A lot of people get spooked out by it. So when you think, why do you think they called it Lucy? A lot of people ain't get that either. You have Lucy, Lucifer. It's talking about, what is the inner core of the Luciferian doctrine, which is basically unlocking the brain, having all knowledge. So in the movie Lucy is basically what it was. She unlocked 100% of her brain and she basically became a god. This is what this whole thing is about, having godlike power, reaching this point. And not, you might not reach it 100%, but to use the knowledge that you have to, and apply it to the world so you can have some kind of gain from it. You can get some kind of success out of it. This is what it's all about. This is what they're doing in Hollywood. This is what they're doing in the music industry. This is what it's all about. The application of this power that is only known in esoteric occult circles. So if you got a leg up on this stuff and you can see what they're doing, you understand what they're doing, and you learn how to use this power for yourself, then you yourself can have, power as well. This is why a lot of companies name their corporations after either Satan, they either have Saturn in it, they have some kind of esoteric logo so that they can let the people know, hey, I'm one of you. I got this knowledge. Don't come here with that bullshit. I know what you know. And that's one of the ways that they do it. I know what you know. I understand what you understand. So I'm not a pushover. And for the most part, if you understand, it's like a group that if you in that group, if you're in that club, they leave you alone. It's just that simple. Now, if they bring you in, this whole Illuminati, so-called Illuminati crap, you see what happens with a lot of these artists, these basketball players like LeBron James. You see them throwing up the symbols, wearing Illuminati stuff because they was brought in and it was initiated and they got to follow the rules. It's just that simple. And one of the major rules of this thing, as you understand, is to 100% keep promoting Jesus, keep promoting God. You see, some of them is genuine with it. and they just still believe in God. But others are telling you that, I wear the 2 chains because I know. I wear the 2 Jesus pieces because I get it. I wear the Ankh because I get it, and this is the information that they are conveying to, whoever that they are in. And directors do it, producers do it in movies when they put little things in it. And it's the new Bible, as I was saying before. It's the new way that they are getting this information out and pushing it around, at the same time deceiving the masses, which they get some kind of weird high out of it. And this is what it's all about: esoteric knowledge. I don't know if y'all heard that cat in the background, but sorry about that. But this is what it's all about. So when you get into this whole occult world, occult science at its infancy, at its beginning state, this is what you're going to start to find out, that they was understanding this knowledge and they was using it. They was taking it to different levels. So as I talked about before, the earth seems 100% to be created specifically for humans. And as I was saying before about the animals, we know that animals, you pay attention to a lot of the jobs, a lot of the things that animals do, it is in support of human life. So we know that bees pollinate the planet, but a lot of people don't know that bats pollinate the planet as well. No, but they do it at night. Bats pollinate cacti. They pollinate your crops at night too. They eat their whole body weight in insects. If they didn't eat the amount of insects that they ate, a lot of crops when you woke up in the morning would be completely destroyed. So this is another thing that bats do that people don't see, because they usually sleep, during the time that bats come out and work. So again, they pollinate cacti. They pollinate plants that only wake up, that only open up at night. A lot of people don't consider that there are a huge amount of plants that only open up at night. They pollinate these plants as well. So if we didn't have bats that ate insects the way they do at night, then we would be overrun with insects. We would have been overrun with insects if it wasn't for bats. That's a thing that a lot of people don't understand. When you think about it, birds are a prey. Cats of prey, like lions, tigers, and stuff like that. If they didn't consume all the buffalo and all of the deer and stuff that they did, if we didn't hunt ourselves, we would have been overrun with animals a long time ago. So, there are plankton in the sea that basically what they do is they basically provide the first source of food for fish in the water. So you have phytoplankton, and phytoplankton basically removes the carbon dioxide from the water, and it allows the water to absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. This basically causes like a carbon cycle, and it helps to regulate the temperature of the planet. So we're talking about something as small as plankton is regulating the temperature of the planet, helping the planet stay at a certain temperature. So this is one of the things a lot of people don't understand. And as I was saying before, how they are the first, they feed the first life, the smallest life in the ocean. So the smallest life eats, and then something eats that. Then a fish eats that, and a bigger fish eat that, and so on and so forth, all the way up to when we are fishing from the ocean. We are able to do so because this plankton is actually feeding the lower life forms in order to sustain basically all life in the sea. If they didn't do what they do, then, the whole food cycle would basically, shut down, and a lot of animals would die because they wouldn't be able to get their food, because the animals that they eat didn't get their food, and the animals that they eat didn't get their food, and so on and so forth. So it's an amazing cycle how there's so many other things that we can look at and see that without a lot of animals, we would be done. I mean, it's monkeys as well. The way that they travel, they basically cause a lot of plants to grow, like in the rainforest and stuff, because they live from place to place, and they basically fertilize the ground as they go. Just by them living, they fertilize it as they move on. And there's a lot of other animals that do that as well. So, it's a cycle. Everybody say the cycle of life. It truly is. But when you pay attention to it, it's all really to help our life, human life, exist on this planet. So bottom line, when you really start into occult knowledge, into esoteric knowledge, when you start getting into the books, again, a lot of this stuff is hidden, just like the Bible is. It's a lot of words that they use that a lot of people might not understand. But when you do the etymology and you start tracing words back and looking at what language it comes from, you'll see it probably means something they either have to do with Egyptian or Greek gods or nature. Mostly nature, usually what a lot of this stuff entails, and it's talking about energy and nature, and sometimes it's in ways that you might not understand yet, but in continuing to research and get this information, you'll get it. You'll start to pick up on a lot of the terminology and a lot of the stuff that it's talking about, and you'll understand what it's getting into. So my goal is to to make you not afraid of this stuff. My goal is to teach you so you are not scared of this knowledge, and you ain't leaving information on the table because it's a lot you want to pick up on. Trust me, it helps out in so many ways. So I wanted to get into this DVD. It's a lot more that's going to come, that's going to get into the next steps of this knowledge and understand a little bit more deeper what this stuff talks about, so you can kind of know what to stay away from and what to continue to pursue. So, we got a lot more to go. I got another DVD coming out that's going to really get into energy. A lot of you asked for that, the DVD on meditation and energy and everything like that, to get into that a lot more, which is the next DVD that's going to come out after this one, or probably at the same time. I'm not sure. More videos on YouTube as well. So, wanted to get into this and just get into it on a small level so you can begin to understand. We're going to, of course, go deeper and deeper into this. So, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch and purchase the DVD and really get into this information. At this level right now, it's just really understanding what this stuff is talking about and knowing that it's not no boogeyman, Satan. It's not, something that you should not be trying to understand. It's something that is actually in the Bible that is trying to tell you, and in a lot of books. And it's just broken down in a way that's hard for a lot of people to understand. So we're going to go through a lot of the terminology, a lot of the stuff that is talked about. And, even some of the stuff that you might not want to deal with, but understand why you don't want to deal with it and what that entails. So, it gets kind of weird and crazy. But when you understand something, you relinquish all fear of it because you get it. If you made the Freddy Krueger movie, you can't be scared of it. It's like what that part was about. You get what I'm saying? You understand how the movie was made, so the ball. You understand what this stuff is about, how it was created and the steps that it took to create it. So, of course, you're not in fear of something that you know and understand. And that's the goal. So, we're going to get into it. Again, thank you guys for purchasing, downloading, taking the time to watch the entire DVD. And I'll see you guys next video. Thanks for watching.